Hey, Spitter Swallow beer review, Shagdog, no jammer. But I'm drinking Dungeons and Flagons by Savanah River Brewing Company here from Augusta, Georgia. The double Indian Pale Ale, according to them, but according to Beer Advocate, it's a Imperial IPA. Uh, double Indian Pale Ale is what they call it. Yeah. 8.5% ABV, Savanah River Brewing Company out of Augusta, Georgia. Uh, Yeah, there's a dragon there. You can't really. I mean, there's his whole body, and then there's his head with his mouth open with pink fire about to flame out there. But from what I gather, Dragon Dungeons and Flagons is, I guess, these people that do Dungeons and Dragons, and they play the game while they're drinking. I guess that's it's called Dungeons and Flagons. From what I gather, I didn't really. I saw a bunch of different links about it. From what I'm gathering, it's people that play and they drink while they play, which probably isn't the right thing to do. But that's okay. Too bad there's not an online version of it, free online, where I could like play it right now and share it while I'm drinking. But oh well, there probably is. I just never really looked into it. In case my name tag down there, Shagdog. Underneath it says Steve Hammer. I did play a little Dungeons and Dragons at one time when I was a sophomore in high school. My brother played with one of his classmates. Another guy from their class played. He asked me if I wanted to play. 4 of us playing Dungeons and Dragons. It was an interesting experience. I'm not really in much to that, but the one guy who was really serious about it was a dungeon master, and me and my brother and the other guy, I was a warrior. I forgot what my brother was, but his name is Steve Hammer. That was his character name, Steve Hammer. I like the last name. But the dungeon master, I'll say his name because I haven't seen him in years. If he's watching, maybe he'll see this. Mark Dittenberg. He's the one that actually gave me the name Shaggy. Turned into Shagdog, thankfully. But he said he was from North Carolina. I lived in Pennsylvania at the time, and he's like, he moved there about a couple weeks after we did. He said, "You know what? You look like Shaggy from Scooby Doo." So that's how the nickname Shaggy started. But luckily, when I met Jammer, he changed it to Shagdog. Anyhow, yeah, he put I was joking around, and he was one of those serious type of people, and he put some type of rock. He said, "You have something I found, rolled something, found a rock. I picked it up, and it attached to my shoulder, and this rock talked and got us in trouble and shit all the time, or a whole bunch of shit." And it was like 3, 4, or 5 weeks playing this. We played about once or twice a week. This rock was just causing a lot of trouble. Finally, I got rid of it. He let me get rid of it. But what an asshole. That's one of those assholes. Power trip, dungeon masters. Yeah. Anywho, we got our revenge later on because we played a role playing game for Star Wars, and I was a bounty hunter. My brother was an ex Jedi, and this guy Lenny we played with, he was kind of looked like a Wookiee, he had long curly black hair, and we said that he was a Wookiee. Well, played a Wookiee, and stormtroopers were after us, and we were in a cantina. So we rolled the dice that we took them to the back somewhere. They were looking for 2 men and a brown Wookiee. Well, we rolled the dice and bleached them before the stormtroopers got there, and we bleached them, and they didn't find us. So that kind of worked. Nerds. Anyhow, this beer, it's very, very cloudy. Can't see through it at all. Kind of a orangey, peachy look to it, I guess. What was the Beer Advocate? 8.5% ABV. The head's slowly dissipating down less than a pinky now. And let's give it the old snifferoni. But yeah, it doesn't look too bad. Imperial, a little pretty cloudy. Can't see through it. But I see some people say it pours a clear amber. I don't have a clear amber, that's for sure. Maybe a hint. It's not very aromatic. A hint of some maybe pineyess, citrus. Very, very light hint of dankness. It's very, very light, which is good. Maybe it tastes light too. So, but being an 8.5, that's deceptive, huh? That's like an evil dungeon man fucking with you. Yeah, but very, very faint in the smell. I mean, the damn Pilsner I had earlier with smell had more smell than this, but yeah, a light pine, light citrus, maybe an orange citrus. Pretty much all I'm picking up. Maybe a light, very light dank. A dank that you can very pick up. Like, what's that smell? That smells familiar. What is that? A little tiny smell. Like your little fingertip smell like it, you know? But let's do it. Cheers. Whoa. Maybe a fruitiness in there too. Very boozy and the pininess up front. And then you get to the middle, you get a little bit of fruity undertones of a little orange, citrus, and strawberries almost taste like. Yeah, even maybe a light pineapple in there too. Maybe a little toastiness in there. A little, very light toasty malt backbone. A little pininess in the aftertaste. Yeah, not too bad. Carbonation is a little bit high, not super high, but above me. Man, that's weird in the front end. As soon as you swallow it, then it leaves a lingering thing on the front end too. It's 8.5% ABV, so does it feel like it's 8.5% ABV? I don't think so. I'm not a big, I mean, like Jammer and PA Brews, I'm not a big ABV drinker. There are some beers like this isn't really too bad for 8.5%. I would say, I mean, there's a little booziness in the front, but I would guess 6.5 maybe. You know, there's some 8.5s that actually are like, wow, that's kind of alcohol-y. Yeah. I thought these guys had a black lager or Schwartz beer. I thought I saw something about that fall or winter, which I wanted to get. Savanah River Brewing Company. Surprisingly, being a local brewery, I'm on the South Carolina side of the river. Don't find too many of these over on this side. You actually have to cross the bridge, go to Georgia to find it. And there's really not a whole, for being in the city of Augusta, a couple of different liquor stores I had, they might have one, which they have a pretty big. I'm like, I got one beer by Savanah River. I don't know. Maybe it's more in-house than who knows, right? I never went to the brewery. I don't go to breweries. Matter of fact, I've only lived here a little bit over 2 years, and I don't have any friends. I'm the type of person not to like. I don't like to go to places by myself. And as you probably guessed with my personality, I have a hard time making friends. But when I do make a friend, it's usually a friend for life. So most of the time, even if there's distance, miles apart between us, or even years, which Jammer is probably my best friend, longest friend I ever had, and my best friend. I've had some best friends before, high school friends, childhood friends. Yeah, two other people I consider my best friends in my life. But with them, the years gapped a lot more. We didn't stay in contact. Me and Jammer still staying in contact, still doing beer reviews, so that's good. And one of those older friends committed suicide a couple of years ago. So we talked and chatted a little bit, but nothing. We texted more than we actually picked up the phone and talked to each other. And at least with me and Jam, we get out here and talk to each other. At least, you know. And I message him all the time, so he can't get away from me. But what the hell is I going on about friends anyhow? But yeah, I'm the type of person, once I make a friend, they're usually a friend for life, you know. But it's hard for me to make friends. I'm not a big group person, group friend. At 2 or 3, maybe at the most. 2's good. 3's a crowd, but I could deal with it. But any more than 4, I just want to go home. Unless I've been drinking. But then, after a few drinks in a couple hours, I feel like I want to go home. So, yeah. It's probably a little too boozy for me, though. 8.5%. It's not overpowering, though, for all the things that are in it. Piney, pineapple, a little malty. It's all kind of low to medium. Not even medium, I don't think. But with all that and a little bit of alcoholiness, especially the front end of booziness, I probably won't be able to drink too many of these. I'm not a big IPA fan anyhow. Matter of fact, hopefully nobody commented. Okay, good. Perfect how the Savanah River Brewing Company just came up like right there on the other side of the mic. Perfect. Wow, I didn't even plan that. Man, it almost looks like I put something there, huh? Pretty good. Yeah, pretty good beer. What would I give it? I mean, Beer Advocate had a high score of NA. Actually, it had an NA on Beer Advocate. I don't think it's rated 3.9. Okay, let's see if it has rated 6. So only 6 people rated it on Beer Advocate. 4.72, 3.77, 4.47, pretty high. 3.73, 4.07. So you're looking pretty high scores there, you know, especially the 4.72 and the 4.47. Yeah, I'd probably give it one more sip. You know what? It's not really bad at all. It's pretty good. It's not my type of style of beer I like, but for what it is, I'm going to give it an A minus, but just a swallow. A minus and a swallow. There you go. I don't give too many A minuses out for Imperial IPA, so, or double IPA as they call it. It's got everything in it. It's just kind of low on everything, but still the alcohol is still masked enough. It's all that stuff's kind of low, less than medium, but it still masks the alcohol pretty good. Actually, a little bit of alcohol in the front that smooths out pretty much after that. You get all the other tastes in the middle, back end, a little aftertaste, a little piney, but not heavy. Yeah, not bad. A minus and a swallow. Oh man, Dungeons and Dragons. Anybody see that movie, the last one that came out? I didn't like it at all. It was okay. See, the problem with me with those Dungeons and Dragons movies, they make them too comedic. You know, I want something serious like Lord of the Rings. Can't they make a Dungeons and Dragons movie? It's like serious like Lord of the Rings. I guess they can't. I don't know why. I mean, you figure the only serious sword and sorcery movies that you could actually sit there. I'm not talking about the Jason Momoa one, but Conan the Barbarian. Not the Jason Momoa one. That might have been a little serious, but it was a horrible movie. Even though it was more, they say it was more close to the books or whatever. The Arnold Schwarzenegger one was far superior as far as entertainment value and a little seriousness. I mean, had child abuse in it. He's pushing that thing in circles with other kids. He's the last one standing. Grows into a muscle-bound warrior. Lord of the Rings, of course, pretty. I mean, yeah, you had little comedic parts with the hobbits and stuff, and the Gimli and the dwarf dude, Gimli and Legolas, yeah. But it's pretty serious overall, especially between the love affair between Samwise Gamgee and Frodo. Who know what happened behind the scenes when they weren't showing them. And then they had Smeagol with them too. Pretty serious stuff that they cut out, probably. But anyhow, triangle love affair there. But pretty serious. But they can't make these Dungeons and Dragons. I'd rather, if I'm going to see something childish or comedic, I'd rather see, and they actually give it a cameo to the old 80s cartoon Dungeons and Dragons. They were actually in the show, in the movie, at the big thing, the stadium, whatever hell it was, and Bobby opened up, everybody got to open up chest, and you get something in the chest, and Bobby opened up the chest, and he had the hammer, I think. Was it a hammer or a battle axe? I can't remember. But he had that. They're all like, whoa, I'd rather see a Dungeons and Dragons movie about those kids riding down the amusement park ride and ended up in Dungeons and Dragons land with a little bald dude dungeon master. Would have been nice if they showed Dungeon Master too. Maybe they did and I missed it, cameo. And then they showed Bobby and all of them again going through the maze or whatever is going on. Man, I would love to see a movie about that. Are they going to ever do it? I don't think so, But it would be cool. And it would be really cool if they made it kind of serious. Like they actually did go through some warp thing to end up in Dungeons and Dragons parallel universe thing or whatever, That's what I think. And they made it serious. But I guess Dungeons and Dragons, I guess you just can't make it serious enough because really, if you think about it, it's mostly, I hate to use the term nerds, but that's who usually plays that type of stuff. And I'm not saying all of them, but the majority of the people who play that type of game have never been in a fight or can't fight. They really don't know what killing is in real life. But yet in that world, they are heroes. So that's why the movies are comedic and lighthearted. And there's my theory on that one. If you're going to comment, go ahead and comment. Well, we're at 18 minutes. Thanks for watching Dungeons and Dragons, Dragons and Flagons, Drunkens and Dunkins. Yeah, but anyhow, R.I.P. my brother. That was his Dungeons and Dragons name there, Steve Hammer. Thought I'd throw it up there. He, it would have been his birthday, 6 days ago. He would have been 54. Passed away when he was 42. But, I don't think he played Dungeons and Dragons for a long time, though. I don't think he was super into it. It was fun, though. And I actually tried to look up the guy who was a dungeon master. Tried to look him up. I know he went in the Marines. He has a rare last name, so I figured you'd find him on Facebook. I only found one person on Facebook with that name, so I said, "Hey, is this the so and so that moved from North Carolina to Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania?" No response. So maybe it wasn't him, or he's like, Yeah, Rick. Some of these beers, I got to take a trip to Florida again someday, and I got to take some of these Savanah River beers down the Jammer. I don't know if you can get these. The Fisney Swamp thing, or whatever the hell that one's called. That's the only beer I think they might have had down in the Tampa area. It looked familiar when I moved here. I was like, well, that looks familiar, and the name sounds familiar. I don't think we ever did it down there, but going in the beer place, I don't know. And again, we might have done that in the old channel. Look at Princess Leia is like right in the glass. Look, hour shaped figure. Look at that, right in the glass. Oh, she's like the main star. There's Luke. There's Princess Leia. I don't know if this is really the shirt is based off the comic that says now only 35 cents. They did have the Star Wars comic. I think we came back out with it, but originally it was, I think, in the 80s, a Star Wars comic. I don't know if Marvel or DC did it. I can't remember. I never bought any of them. I couldn't afford a 35-cent comic in the 80s. My mother just didn't have the money with 3 boys and being a single mother. I mean, God bless her. She tried her best. She did her best. She put herself through nursing school. Did what she could. There was a couple of years that were probably in the poverty level, but she rose up. So I never looked at us as poor though or anything. But there was probably a couple of years where we're actually poor. Like poor. But back in those days, a lot of people were, not even the poor people, just parents in general were like, they're not spending that much money on shoes. They're not spending that, they grew up in a different time in the 50s and 60s. They were like, you didn't have brand name stuff. So when the sneakers, the Jordans, even before the Jordans, ponies and all the other different type of sneakers that were expensive at that time in the 80s. God, if you're paying more than $15, $20 a pair of sneakers, boy, you were spending money. My first pair of, I think, real good brand name sneakers I bought myself. I think there were some Pony MVPs. I had a paper route, so I started buying. That's basically what I bought when I paper out some sneakers at Converse Weapons, Pony MVPs. I couldn't afford the real Jordans, nor did I want to pay that much for real Jordans, but I did have the Air Jordan knockouts, or they used to call them the Air Jordan knockoffs, canvas version Jordans, which were pretty cool, actually, I might add. What else did I have? Yeah, a lot of good sneakers. But then when I got in high school, then my mother started buying me halfway decent sneakers. She saw how emotional it was to get like a horrible brand name, no name brand of sneakers, But I tell you what, when we were kids in the 80s, I mean, these kids, even though we're at poverty level now with inflation and everything going on, thanks to yours truly, Joe Biden. Back in the 80s, maybe there's some families, but our family, if we were lucky, we had pizza night once a week. We never went out to dinner. We never went to restaurants. Once in a blue moon, we go to like a Chinese restaurant or something. But we never went out to eat places like, as a matter of fact, there wasn't even a lot of restaurants like that back then. Applebee's, TGIFs, whatever the hell else is out there now, because I don't go out that much. You didn't have stuff like that back then. If you did, it was up by the mall. Or like, wow, I got this place called TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. I never went to a place like that until I was in the Army. Yeah. Red Lobster? No, sometimes went out with a family, like somebody's birthday or something, went out to dinner. I don't know if you ever heard of this restaurant. It was in upstate New York called Ponderosa. The Ponderosa. But, yeah, we never went out like that. So these kids today are spoiled rotten. Even people that are my age grew up not with that stuff, but as soon as, so a lot of people complain they can't go out to dinner and shit like that now because of inflation. Well, you know what? Welcome back to the 80s. I don't go out at all now because I can't afford it going out all the time. I used to go out all the time, even when I was, God, man, what I'm making now, I made because had different jobs thing, but what I'm making now, I pretty much made back in 2019. What was that, 5 years ago? So I'm making the same amount of money I made in 2019. That doesn't go very far right now, but in 2019, it stretched pretty good. I mean, by no means was I rich or anything, but yeah, I could go out to eat once in a while and go out to the bar. With that money now, cannot do it. Matter of fact, I'm pretty frugal. I try to look for frugal meals, frugal everything. I don't even go, man. It's just the most money I spend on is craft beer. Every 2 or 3 or 4 months, 5 months, I go to the store, get about $100 worth of craft beer singles, and that's it. Anyhow, thanks for the one viewer watching. That was very nice. Yeah, I think I'm going to cancel this channel. Nobody watches. Even our fans don't watch anymore. Jammer fan came on for 10 seconds. Anyhow, 26 minutes. Let's get this one out. Hey, if you ever can find it, Dungeons and Flagons by Savanah River Brewing Company. Not too bad. Pretty good. I got a lot of digitizing going on, I think. With my shades, I can see it better. Oh, well. Thanks for watching. I'm going to try to get 1 or 2 more beers. And I think I'm going to do that porter next. I've been waiting to do that porter for a while. We'll see you on the next one. Spitter Swallow Beer be Shagdog.